Hey fans, fighters, subscribers and YouTubers, and welcome to the most spectacular fighting show on YouTube, Fighters That Will Always Be Remembered. This show includes documentary stories of famous boxers, UFC fighters and K1 fighters that left an undeletable trail in their sport and should always remain known and famous for their achievements. Please follow episodes, send your propositions to my Facebook, and make sure that your fighter gets the next story. Welcome to everybody. This is a wonderful episode of Fighters That Will Always Be Remembered, and actually this is about George St-Pierre. I'm sorry I was absent a little bit while some idiot placed me a strike on my channel, but I won, so I got to say, you can strike me as much as you want, you will lose in the end, idiot. Now let's start talk about George St-Pierre, Canadian semi-retired mixed martial artist, three-time former welterweight champion of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, having won the title twice, 2006-2008, as well the interim title 2007. Born May 19, 1981, Saint-Isidore, Quebec, Canada. With other names, he was having nicknames GSP and Rush, and he is known, at least for me. He has a scar here, you see, here has a scar. It was probably caused by one of his wonderful fights. Residence Montreal, Quebec, nationality Canadian. Height 5 feet 10 inches or 178 centimeters. Weight now it is around 78 kilograms, 77. He's dropping his weight pretty much a little bit, but he is around welterweight style. He is basically a former karate fighter. He was training karate when he was young, but later he progressed, started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai very little bit. And actually George St-Pierre was always a guy that was out wrestling the best wrestlers, that was out submitting the best submission fighters, and that was a Kyokushin Kai expert that had a pure wonderful striking, a French speaking Quebecer. And actually he's a guy that was having so much coaches under his belt. I mean, head trainer Firas Zahabi, strategy Greg Jackson, boxing Howard Grant, Muay Thai Phil Nurse, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu John Danaher, Renzo Gracie, strength Pierre Roy, gymnastics Patrick Duchamp. Actually George St-Pierre is an amazing guy. He was starting to train Kyokushin to be able to prevent himself from street bully and school bully. He took up wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing. He was really a guy that was trying to protect himself, but he is having black belt in Kyokushin Kai, first degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, black belt in Gaido Jitsu. He was active from 2002 to 2013 in MMA. Total 27 fights, 25 wins, 8 by knockout, 5 by submission, 12 by decision. His endurance is outstanding. 2 losses, 1 by knockout, 1 by submission. Now let's start talk about his career. He was the guy that was training Rashad Evans, Nathan Marker, Kay Jardine, Donald Cerrone, other mixed martial arts fighters in Greg Jackson's gym. And let's just talk about his wonderful fights. First fight, TKO punches victory versus Ivan Menjivar, January 25th, 2002, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It was a bit great fight. Won the UCC welterweight championship versus Justin Brookman, submission armbar. In this fight I was a bit surprised because, you know, grabbing opponent's nose and transiting to his hand and strengthening it with an armbar was a bit choice that surprised me pretty much, even if, as I know, that Justin Brookman is having a really solid ground game. Victory versus Travis Galbraith, also a bit surprising for me. He defended UCC welterweight championship. I got to say, versus Travis Galbraith, I was expecting to win, but TKO elbows was definitely not a pure choice to St-Pierre, because I thought Travis is gonna outpunch him. I was surprised. Versus Thomas Denny, TKO, Dr. Stoppage, Pete Spratt, submission, rear naked choke. It was 2003, George St-Pierre was still uprising, going further, going higher. Karo Parishian, decision anonymous. Jay Hiron, TKO punches. It was UFC 48. First fight was UFC 46 versus Karo Parisyan. George St-Pierre started to rise. Unfortunately, for the UFC welterweight championship, it was a loss versus Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes was able to out-submit him, to out-defeat him with that armbar. Later came victories. Dave Strasser, submission Kimura. Jason Miller, unanimous decision. Frank Trigg, submission, rear naked choke. We have Frank Trigg. He is also a good ground guy. St-Pierre proved his statement that he could out-wrestle the best wrestlers and out-submit the best submission fighters. Sean Shirk, TKO, punches and elbows. Sean Shirk was, according to me, a stronger guy, wider guy, more stable guy, but St-Pierre was definitely a better striker. He used his striking to demolish him. BJ Penn was defeated. March 4, 2006, he was UFC welterweight title eliminator. He won and revenge to Matt Hughes. This TKO, head kick and punches. Matt Hughes was trying to take him down. St-Pierre was slipping away, and this head kick really landed. After a head kick, it was just a pure choice. Won the UFC welterweight championship, a knockout of the night, really. This head kick was something that I remember that much, pretty much solidly. Loss versus Matt Serra, TKO punches, Houston, Texas, UFC 69. Unfortunately, Serra surprised him with one punch, and he had no much choice. He went down, he had to strike. Unfortunately, St-Pierre could do nothing here. Josh Koscheck, unanimous decision, victory. Matt Hughes, verbal submission, armbar. It was third fight trilogy with Matt Hughes. He won 2 times. Matt Serra, it was a pure revenge, TKO. He was holding him against the fence, holding him, clinching, clinching, holding elbows and knee, and Matt Serra went down. Was a pure fight. Defended UFC welterweight championship versus John Fitch, unanimous decision. BJ Penn, TKO, corner stoppage. Unanimous decisions later. It was the era of unanimous decisions. Thiago Alves in the first fight. Well, Thiago Alves had great striking. 5 rounds, man. You have so many fights of 5 rounds. You got to be a Terminator for that. This is the reason why I call him Terminator. BJ Penn, victory, 5 rounds decision. Thiago Alves, UFC 100. This is fight I remember that much. It was UFC 100, you know. Unanimous decision. Dan Hardy, unanimous decision. Josh Koscheck, again unanimous decision. Jake Shields, unanimous decision. Carlos Condit, unanimous decision. So much unanimous decision. I'm gonna lose count here, man. If I could count this, he was so many times a UFC champ. I can't even imagine how many times he was a champ, really. Nick Diaz, unanimous decision. Nick Diaz, unanimous decision, March 16, 2013. It was one of the last fights of George St-Pierre. Nick Diaz was going down. He was taking him down. When Diaz goes down, he started to punch. Diaz was telling that he was damaged in this fight. I a bit agree with Nick Diaz, because there is something that was not a bit fair in this fight. But okay. Everybody has right to think he thinks it should be. Johnny Hendricks, last fight of George St-Pierre, UFC 167, November 16, 2013. Also defended UFC welterweight championship, fight of the night, Las Vegas, Nevada. 11 times he was defending the title. I mean, fighter of the year, 2009, 2010, 2009 also, 2008. So many titles under his belt, man. Kyokushin Kai-Khan, he was 5 years in a row a champion of Canada, junior kumite champion. Well, George St-Pierre was really throwing everything he had. After vacating the title and time off from MMA on December 13, 2013, St-Pierre officially announced that he vacated the title and needed to take some time off from MMA. He left the door open for a possible return to MMA in the future. On March 27, 2014, St-Pierre announced via Twitter that he had torn his left anterior cruciate ligament while training, further delaying a potential return to fighting. The torn left ACL will require surgery. He was medically cleared to resume training on October 17, 2014, but it remained unclear if he had plans to fight professionally again. 2015, St-Pierre played a key role in Rory McDonald's preparation for his match with Robbie Lawler and UFC 189. I hope for a return of this huge champion, and I hope that George St-Pierre is going to defend title many times when he returns, and I hope he will be able to become at least 1 or 2 times more the biggest UFC champion of all time. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe us on YouTube. Send us your propositions to make sure to see your favorite fighter in this show. Thanks, and see you all in the next episode.